Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. As I mentioned, I'm Jim Tuckwell, and I have the privilege and honor of being able to be the board chairman for the Vilas County Economic Development Corporation. Fundamentally, we exist as an organization to support our Northwoods business community and to help build a stronger Northwoods economy. However, as a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, we can't provide the services and support that we offer without your support. So we'd like to begin the annual meeting by thanking you for all of the wonderful support you've provided us this year. Specifically, I'd like to thank the Vilas County Board of Supervisors, the Vilas County Economic Development and Tourism Committee, our area businesses and business leaders who have so generously supported our 2020 fundraising campaign. Likewise, our townships who we've worked with this past year closely on broadband expansion and who have also supported our 2020 fundraising campaign. And in particular, I'd like to thank the Lac du Flambeau tribe for your continuing support, and specifically Lake of the Torches Resort Casino and the Lac du Flambeau Business Development Corporation. And of course, I definitely want to thank Kathy Schmitz, our executive director, who has worked tirelessly early, late, and weekends this year to support our area businesses and attract new business to Vilas County. Thanks to Kathy, we have also achieved outstanding positive visibility for Vilas County and the VCEDC with feature articles on the front page of the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, the Green Bay Gazette, features articles from Wisconsin Public Radio, and a high volume this year of feature articles in local print, radio, and TV media. Of course, I'd really be negligent if I didn't thank our outstanding board of directors. The VCEDC is somewhat unique in that we have a volunteer working board of directors who have a wide variety of skills and experience and represent all corners of the county. And our board members dedicate their time, their talents, their experience, and their financial support, direct financial support to the VCEDC to help improve our Northwoods economy. In particular, I'd like to recognize and thank Patty Crarup, our treasurer, who spends countless hours behind the scenes ensuring that we're financially sound. April Welch, our secretary, who develops and delivers the most comprehensive record of our meetings that we've ever had. Brad Gauthier, whose creativity and marketing savvy and web and technical skills have proven invaluable this year. And of course, Bill Niemuth, our broadband project lead, whose dedication, expertise, and significant time commitment are key to our ability to help improve Vilas County's broadband coverage. And lastly, but very importantly, I'd like to thank Dave Juday, our vice chairman, whose skill and experience and leadership over the many years he's helped lead the VCEDC have been a key to the contribution we provide our business community. Dave is retiring as vice chairman, but fortunately not from our board. And I'd like to read the plaque that we just presented to Dave earlier this morning in our December board meeting. With sincere appreciation, the board of directors recognized Dave Juday for his years of service as vice chairman. Dave's commitment to the Northwoods, his wisdom, strategic thinking, and generous spirit have been unparalleled in guiding our mission to build a stronger Northwoods economy. Thank you, Dave. And thank you, Dave, my personal thanks. And as I shared with our board, the last 3 years working together with you have truly been a highlight out of my entire career. And I'm not going to let you off the hook, as I mentioned. I'll be staying in touch and continuing to get your insights and suggestions. We've got a really full agenda this morning. So now it's my honor to introduce our next speaker, Governor Tony Evers.
Hey there, Vilas County. Thank you for inviting me to join you. It's a pleasure to be here today by video. 2020 has been an extraordinarily difficult year, and while there is hope on the horizon with potential vaccines in 2021, we still have a long road ahead of us, especially as our local communities work to recover from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. I know you're working hard on rewriting the rural narrative, and folks, that is exactly the work that you should be doing. From the Northwoods to the Driftless, we have a lot to be proud of in our rural communities. But we also know that there's always more we can do to support rural economies and Main Street businesses across our state, from expanding access to broadband and healthcare services to investing in our schools and fixing our roads and bridges. That's why we have been strategic with our federal CARES funding and have worked to get it out the door to the folks who really can use it. WEDC has done a good job administering the We're All In Small Business Grant Program, which now totals $185 million in grant funds for small businesses and has already assisted more than 26,000 small businesses across the state. We've also invested more than $70 million in Wisconsin's lodging, performance venues, movie theaters, cultural organization, and tourism industry, which I know is a major part of the Northwoods economy. But folks, the effects of this pandemic are widespread, and unfortunately our CARES funding that has made all this possible will expire at the end of the year. So anything you can do to help elevate the call for our federal partners to provide additional support after the first of the year, it would go a long way. We also invested more than $5 million of our CARES funds in broadband because as the pandemic has only further highlighted, broadband is a necessity for telemedicine, remote working and learning, or running a small business. This $5 million investment comes in addition to our budget, which made the largest state investment in broadband expansion in our history. In March, the PSC awarded more than $1.6 million grant to the town of Boulder Junction to expand broadband access. Since that time, almost 80% of the homes and businesses along the route have indicated that they will subscribe to service. And we recently announced the Broadband Connectors pilot program. This program will help communities get connected by providing technical assistance to help them apply for federal, state, and private sector broadband expansion grants because we found that many communities reported they just needed a little extra help in reaching the funds that were already out there. And I was happy that the Lac du Flambeau tribe here in Vilas County were one of the communities chosen for that pilot program. But folks, we know we have more work to do. Well before we knew what 2020 would hold for our state and country, we established the Office of Rural Prosperity at the WEDC and our Blue Ribbon Commission on Rural Prosperity. This move has become even more important as we begin to think ahead to our state's economic recovery. Our Blue Ribbon Commission will be providing their recommendations in the days ahead, and it comes at a critical time as we begin to plan and prepare for our next biennial budget. So I look forward to reviewing their recommendations and in working with all of you to ensure we're building a budget that moves our state forward and bolsters the good work the Vilas County Economic Development Corporation is doing to rewrite the rural narrative. So with that, again, thank you for inviting me to join you. Stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you.
We very much appreciate the governor's participation and his insights this morning. Thank you very much, Governor Evers. We have a strong partnership, which we value greatly, with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. As a proof point of this, Jim Rosenberg, our regional director for the WEDC, is also a member of our board. We're really grateful that Missy Hughes, CEO of the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, could join us this morning, and we look forward to hearing her perspectives. Thank you for joining us, Missy.
Thank you, Jim. Good morning, everybody. I love that the governor said when he was introducing, he said, you know, from the Northwoods to the Driftless, because that's really what we have today. You guys are in the Northwoods and I'm sitting in the Driftless region right now at my home in southwestern Wisconsin. So, you know, I love talking with you all about rural Wisconsin, and I'm excited to talk about that. I offered to Jim to take questions, so I'm just going to give a few remarks, but if you have questions, please throw them in the Q&A or the chat, wherever Noah thinks they should go. So I just want to give you, I think, a sense of the work that WEDC has been doing in response to the pandemic, and then also talk a little bit about the Blue Ribbon Commission that the governor mentioned. You know, but first and foremost, I want to offer my thanks to all of you. Every day I'm asked, what can small businesses do? What's my advice to small businesses in order to get through this period of time, you know, the darkest time of the year in more ways than one. And what I am telling folks is to look for the support that's in their community, that's already there. We've created in Wisconsin an incredible level of support and a network of support, whether it's economic development corporations like the Vilas County Economic Development Corporation, or local chambers, or our banks and our credit unions. We have all of these ways to support small businesses. And it's so hard for Wisconsinites to ask for help, right? We love giving help, but asking for help is really hard. And what I'm telling these businesses is that folks like you have all been waiting for this moment, waiting to be able to help in, you know, the darkest times. And so I just want to say thank you for being ready to help the businesses. You know, it's going to continue to be a tough few months. And it's almost like that light at the end of the tunnel of the vaccine is going to make it a little bit harder in the coming months. And certainly in the Northwoods, as you all are experiencing, you know, whatever happens with the tourism season for the winter sports, and your restaurants being challenged to continue to serve folks. It's going to be a challenging time. Our businesses are so strong and have such perseverance, but it's groups like you that are really going to help them get through. So I thought I would just describe a little bit about what we've been working on at WEDC. The governor touched on it a little bit, but maybe with a little bit more detail. Since the onset of the pandemic in March, we've really had a dual focus. And one focus is getting resources out. You know, we looked at WEDC's budget, and we moved dollars around, and we were able to deploy about $8 million right away through a couple different programs to really try to get help to businesses in that interim gap before federal resources were available. And then through the course of the summer, we've been very proud to be able to work with the governor's office to deploy. We're now up to over $220 million worth of CARES Act funding to the businesses around the state. And, you know, I think it's really a testament to the governor's commitment to small businesses. He has continued to come to me and my team and say, you know, how do we help our Main Street businesses? How do we make sure that people continue to remember our Main Street businesses? And so I'm excited that we've been able to do that. We've done grants to small businesses under $1 million. We had the phase 1 of We're All In, which was $2,500 grants. And then we had phase 2, which was $5,000 grants, which is just getting deployed right now. Finally, we have phase 3, which is really seeking to help those restaurants and gathering places. And that's $45 million that will be deployed to restaurants and bowling alleys and amusement centers that are between $1 million and $7 million in annual revenue. And they'll be getting a $20,000 grant. If you have businesses like that you're working with, please tell them to be sure to be watching their email for notifications from the Department of Revenue. One of the challenges of deploying these funds is literally getting them out the door. And right now we're working against the end of the year as a deadline for getting these funds out. And so we want businesses to be watching their email. That the DOR might need more information about bank accounts and things like that, but literally this money is being deployed right now. So if you can ask folks to check their junk email and their spam email and, you know, their regular email to make sure that they're getting that information about potential grants. The other thing that we've really done at WEDC is make sure that we're trying to provide businesses as much information as possible. You know, there has just been, since the beginning, an onslaught of information, and what's trusted, what's not trusted has been a real challenge. And so one of the things I'm most proud of is our WEDC guidelines and how that has helped businesses kind of approach, okay, how do I operate in this new normal? And, you know, I think that those have really set a stage for businesses to be able to think, how do I take care of my customers? How do I take care of my employees? How do I take care of my community? And so those are really critical, and we continue to evolve those. Right now, we're working on a set of guidelines for mental health. You know, a business and I'm sure you've all talked with business owners and are business owners yourselves. This is an incredibly stressful moment that we're going through, a long moment. And, you know, if you need resources, or if you see an employee who needs resources, we want to be able to provide you with good, trusted information about how to access those resources. And so we anticipate getting those mental health guidelines out in the next short while here. We're working closely with the Department of Health on those. And then we're also working with the Department of Health to understand what the deployment of the vaccine will look like. And, you know, obviously business owners and manufacturers and all want to know, you know, how is this going to be deployed? What are the choices that are being made? How do I manage my employees during this time? And so we're working to get that information out. You know, as with so many things, this is flying the plane, trying not to crash the plane, building the plane, all while we're going. And certainly, you know, deploying millions of vaccines is a whole new challenge. And, you know, I'm just so grateful that we've got this experience of the last few months of deploying testing and alternate care facilities and all of the work we've done there, that we know we can do the vaccine distribution. And we're just going to step by step go through that. And so as much as folks can help with that, it's going to require a little bit of patience. But I think that, you know, that will really get us on the road towards recovery. The last thing I want to, or the next thing I want to talk about a little bit is the governor mentioned the Blue Ribbon Commission on Rural Prosperity. So last January, in the State of the State, the governor announced the creation of this commission, along with the creation of the Office of Rural Prosperity in WEDC. And I'm very proud of his decision to allow WEDC to be responsible for that conversation. When I came into this role, it was because I live in rural Wisconsin. I believe in the strength of rural Wisconsin, and to have the opportunity to help with the conversation about reworking the rural narrative is incredibly important. And I've come into this conversation really wanting to stop the woe is me conversation about rural Wisconsin and talk about how fantastic it is. And I think the pandemic has given us an awesome reflection on the reason we have rural areas, the reason why we want to be able to get out of the cities. And for many of us, the choice to live in rural areas is a choice made based on the strengths and the things that we enjoy. And so sharing that information is really important. And certainly, you know, you have taken advantage of this moment to be able to say, yep, that's why we live here. And maybe you might want to consider moving here too. But understanding that, you know, we have work to do to make sure that when not only for our citizens who are already living in rural Wisconsin, but those who might want to come, we need to have housing, we need to have broadband, we need to have these things, this infrastructure in place in order to support that. The Blue Ribbon Commission held 3 listening sessions and really engaged as best they could in the virtual world that we're in. We were ready to go on the road. We were ready to have conversations all around the state, and the commission was really excited about that. We chose commission members based on a model that I advocated for, having experienced it, which was really the group of people who you would find sitting around a kitchen table trying to solve a community problem. So you've got, you know, a farmer, a teacher, a mental health professional, a banker, you know, the community leaders who want to actually be solution oriented, not a lot of politics, not a lot of, you know, oh, I represent this group, oh, I represent that group, just really bringing their experience and their expertise to the table to work things out. And so we've brought together this amazing group of people from all around the state, and they've really dug into their work. They are frustrated that we live in a virtual world right now, but they've really continued to have conversations. And one of the recommendations that will be coming out in their report is to please let them keep doing their work and keep having these conversations. So I think that's a testament to the group that we've brought together. And I'm excited to have the report issued. It should be issued next week. Just putting the final touches on it and making sure it really encompasses what the commission learned, that they're putting together, both a strategic outlook for rural Wisconsin and some tactical things that need to happen. And I'm proud to say to Vilas County that, one of the real focuses of the commission has been the relationship between Wisconsin and the tribes, and the need to really re-look at that relationship, make sure it's really successful, make sure that the tribes are at the first and front end of our policy making, and have input there, because it's so critical that we rethink how we've engaged, and we make sure that we're doing it in a way that will help everyone move forward. And so I'm thrilled about how the commission has really taken up that work, and I've been able to learn so much about the need to do that. So, finally, I want to just looking forward a little bit. We have a lot of work to do as a state to make sure that our economy is recovering and working for all. And that work means understanding what are the lessons learned from the COVID-19 pandemic, and how do we make sure that everyone has an opportunity to participate in our economy, that we have the childcare so that people aren't on the sidelines because they don't have access to childcare, that we have healthcare so that people aren't on the sidelines because they are challenged with chronic health issues, and that we're making sure we're getting them the care that they need, that people aren't subject to environmental conditions that keep them from being able to participate fully in the economy. I think the benefit of this is that we've been able to really see how you move an economy forward. And it means that we need to be thinking about all parts of the economy, not one versus the other, not rural versus urban, not Black versus white, but how are we all doing this together? And I think the pandemic is a great learning moment for all of us, and I hope we can carry these learnings forward. There's some stuff we're never going to want to do again, and that's okay, but there's plenty to have learned and to be able to really move forward and make sure that we're advancing all parts of the state, and especially Vilas County. And the work that Vilas County is doing is creative and exciting and interesting, and I'm so glad to have Jim on the board and on my team to be able to relay what we're doing. So let's think about how we can all work together and continue to move forward. And I'm happy to take some questions.
Missy, thank you very much. And we really appreciate your insights. And I'd just like to remind people that for questions for Missy or in general, just please click on the Q&A chat tab at the bottom of your screen. And we'll be discussing or answering questions at the end of the meeting. So Missy, thanks a lot for your insights. We really appreciate it. And we really look forward to continuing and even growing our partnership in the new year.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks. We've been really fortunate to have Kathy Schmitz join our team as our executive director effective the 1st of January. Kathy's worked tirelessly to help us realize our vision of building a stronger Northwoods economy. And now I'd like to introduce Kathy to share her thoughts.
Great, thank you, Jim, and good morning, everyone. When I look back on the year, the opportunity to serve as executive director has truly exceeded my expectations. I truly value the strong support and warm welcome that I've received from everyone, from the Vilas County Board of Directors, the County Board of Supervisors, and both the Vilas County and Northwoods business community. So 1 year ago, Vilas County was a place I moved to start my new job. And today, Vilas County is home. And you have all become my good friends and colleagues. So no doubt with COVID, it's been a challenging and emotional year for everyone. However, I believe we have all stepped up in a proactive and thoughtful manner. As I've stated before, Our business is here for your business, and we'll do whatever we can to help. As I look back on 2020, here are just a few key highlights of what we've accomplished. So first, yes, COVID. 127 years ago, Vilas County was founded by William Vilas. He was a lieutenant colonel and a secretary of Interior under President Cleveland. Like our founders who lived through horrific wars and disease, we are in the midst of managing one of the most devastating times our country has ever encountered. The pandemic is raising havoc throughout the country, especially with small business. So remembering Mr. Vilas's pioneering spirit, together with the passion, determination, and leadership from our own businesses each day, well, I believe that guides our ability to navigate this crisis. So when the pandemic began, the VCEDC was at the forefront to help small business in a variety of ways, with a one-stop shop COVID-19 resource page on our website, informational and timely webinars that included local and state political and civic leaders, one-on-one counseling to assist grant applications, financing, business planning options, and marketing social media. That keeps and brings significant dollars into our county. Second, outreach. The VCEDC refined our mission to clearly articulate our purpose, and that is to build a stronger Northwoods economy. So how do we accomplish that? By supporting current business, attracting remote workers, entrepreneurs, and new business. To ensure we communicate our message effectively, we applied for and received 2 significant grants that are funding our targeted social media and paid Google ad campaigns. These grant dollars strengthened our social media and Google presence with ads and video, enabling us to broaden our visibility downstate and in Northern Illinois. So the data already shows results which are ahead of national standards. So let's take a moment to watch some of our ad videos and meet Brad and Ruby and Lizette.
One of the things I really find exciting is that in our backyard we always have deer, we have fox, we have all of these different animals, and our little baby gets to see them all the time.
The Northwoods is much more ideal because of the cost of living and the operational costs for our growing business.
We actually have quicker internet at our house now than our condo out west. We decided if we can work remotely, we might as well work from anywhere. One summer, Ruby and I came here and we went biking on the bike paths, and we went hiking and went out on the boat, and Ruby fell in love with it.
Also, the fall season is like my favorite. I just immediately fell in love with it.
It's really a remote worker's paradise, and there's also, if you're looking to start a business or grow your business, it's a really great place because there's so much opportunity.
We are Brad and Ruby Gauthier. We own a Northwoods-based software development company, Sitecast, where we build high-performing websites.
We found paradise in the Northwoods, Wisconsin as remote workers and business owners, and you can too.
My name is Lisette Lance-Schottner. I am an esthetician. I own a spa called Simply Pretty Spa in Eagle River. I was surprised to have clients the first week I opened. People here, as soon as they knew what I was doing, like, oh, you should meet this person. You should call this person. I was like, what? Okay, thank you. And I wasn't expecting the Vilas County EDC to be there. Basically what they did is point me in the right direction with the right professional. So everyone could tell me, okay, take me by the hand and let me know what I needed to do to open up a business. Well, my advice is to just jump into it. There's never gonna be a perfect time, and there's a lot of people who want you to succeed. If you don't know what to do, just know what you want to create and then call the right people. In this case, it was the Vilas County EDC. Bienvenido al Bosque del Norte. In Spanish, that is, welcome to the Northwoods.
Well, I hope you enjoyed those 2 ad videos. So I promised you a few key highlights, and I'd like to add one more. So third, broadband. I'm honored to work alongside VC EDC board and work group members Jim Tuckwell, Bill Niemuth, Jonathan Sharp, and Mike Dunning to ensure improved broadband coverage. Required and critical for robust tourism and to diversify Vilas County's economy to attract those entrepreneurs, remote workers, and business, all to secure our future. The VC EDC now marks its 10th anniversary with a strong future as a result of the dedicated commitment from our absolutely stellar board of directors, a board whose members continue to inspire me each and every day. But rather than hear wonderful accolades from me, let's take a moment to hear the value others see in the VC EDC.
Vilas County is very fortunate to have an organization the caliber of the Vilas County Economic Development Corporation to promote the county to potential new business owners and people expanding their business. You know, I think it's quite evident that not every small community in this county, places like Conover and Presque Isle and Sainer, can afford to have their own business development entity. And so it's very important to have a county-wide organization. I give a lot of credit to the Vilas County Board for their financial support of the VCED, and also to the VCED board and staff itself for their professionalism, expertise, and experience, which I think sends a very strong signal to the business community, wherever they may be, that Vilas County is welcoming and inviting and willing to assist all types of new business, that we're not just willing to rely, as in the past, on a seasonal tourism economy, but that we are open for business of all sorts.
Well, I think the Vilas County Economic Development Corporation, it's a force for going out and connecting various groups and various organizations. It sends a message that Vilas County is progressive and actively looking for ways to grow the business base and develop the workforce here. It's so important to have the connections between the different groups that are all striving to do the same things, or at least various aspects of the economic development here. Yeah, I think if the Vilas County Economic Development Corporation were not here, you know, it would be like we were here 20, 25 years ago. Everybody just struggling along on their own.
Well, during the COVID crisis, everybody was really basically scrambling to begin with. And it was great when I would receive an email, or Cindy Brzezinski of the tourism department would receive an email, that we were able to share those. I was able to share those with you, Kathy. I was able to share that with Vilas County Economic Development Corporation, whereas you were then able to take that and email it out to all of the businesses that you have contacts for to help them. And that had to do with grant funds. Many of these grant funds, you had to apply almost instantaneously, and the window to use them were very, very, very small. And without that collaboration, I'm not sure how many of the businesses would have been as successful as they have been in Vilas County. I've read articles where counties are saying they weren't very successful, and I would beg to differ. It seems to me that Vilas County businesses did quite well. Without the Vilas County Economic Development Corporation, I'm really truly not sure where the businesses would have gone to seek help.
We appreciate the assistance of Vilas County Economic Development Corp. With the Town of Conover Broadband Committee. When Conover first established the committee and we got our committee together, you and Jim and Bill were helpful enough to meet with us on a Zoom call and provide us with some background information from the research you had done in establishing the broadband strategy for Vilas County in general. That gave us an idea of who the players were in terms of internet service providers, where the infrastructure was located, and also gave us some insight into what the countywide goals and objectives were. The best thing that I can say about our partnership with Vilas County Economic Development Corp is that because of the experience and the knowledge that you've developed and you're willing to share with us on a partnership basis, we can proceed with better information, better understanding, rather than making it up as we go along.
Here in Boulder Junction, we are getting ready to launch a big project for high-speed internet. We're laying fiber optic broadband throughout the entire township, and which is a very big deal here in Boulder Junction, as well as Vilas County, as you know, a highly needed amenity to our residents and our businesses. So I believe that Vilas County Economic Development played a big part in coaching us along in this process. The resources that you guys provide is unmatchable. It's something that's very important to potential business owners coming to the county, as well as our existing business owners, to be able to provide information that is really necessary for them to become successful in what it is that they are looking to accomplish with their business, as well as personally here in the Northwoods.
You certainly don't have to look far to see the impact of VCEDC in the Northwoods. Since 2013, the organization has partnered with the college to provide entrepreneurial education and small business development assistance to more than 100 residents of Vilas County who were interested in starting or expanding their businesses. These efforts have directly contributed to dozens of new business ventures in the county. Now, more than ever, businesses are relying on VCEDC as a trusted one-stop shop for information, resources, and assistance to help them weather the storm of this past year and come out even stronger on the other side.
So it's nice that we have one economic development organization for our county that they can depend on and go to when needed.
We appreciate the partnership, and thank you for your participation with us.
And this organization brings forth people who have a wealth of knowledge, and I thank them.
I'm just excited to see where your organization goes in the future. There's just so much potential.
We couldn't be more excited about the future and our relationship with the VCEDC. Now, let's get back to work.
After the presentation by Ben Winchester that we had in fall, where we invited him to bring a talk in about rewriting the rural narrative, he called me to congratulate the VCEDC on our leadership to put, in his words, Vilas County on the map, stating that he would use Vilas County in future speeches across the country as his new example of how to do it right. So those words from Ben stood out for me, as well as these. You are writing your own narrative by inviting people to come in. And indeed we are. So thank you.
Kathy, thanks a lot. That was really an excellent recap of what for sure has been a year with a lot of new and different challenges, but also opportunities as well. In February, and again, this was Kathy's idea, we launched a new program to recognize different Vilas County businesses each month. And the criteria was really based on a number of factors: their innovation, creativity, the success they were having, and their commitment to give back to the community. We've reviewed the winners for each of the months in 2020, and based on feedback from the community as well as a review of the criteria that I just mentioned, at this time, we'd like to recognize the Business of the Year, which has been chosen by our executive committee. I'd like to express my congratulations to John McGraw and Chippewa Retreat Resort, not only for this award, but for the creativity that they took in taking and really creating a lemonade from lemons kind of an approach to the pandemic. By leveraging high-speed broadband and creating a new e-commerce business in spite of the pandemic, this is exactly the kind of approach that we are promoting in our outreach campaigns. And I'd like to read the plaque that we'll be presenting to John. Congratulations to John McGraw for your innovative and entrepreneurial spirit to launch the Great Wisconsin Steak Company during a global pandemic and challenging economic time. Leveraging your high-speed broadband to start this new e-commerce business epitomizes the message that you can do business worldwide from Wisconsin's North Woods. You're an inspiration. And John's with us this morning, and we'd appreciate hearing his thoughts. John, I'd like to invite you to share your thoughts, please.
Well, Jim, thank you very much. I can see from this meeting today that things have gone really well since I was one of the original members of the board. And I congratulate all of you and all the work that you're doing, and extend my sincere appreciation for you guys recognizing this new company and the innovation that we've been able to implement around a difficult time. So thank you all very much, and I appreciate your support, and we'll continue to grow and let you know how we're doing.
Well, thanks. We'll stay in touch, John, and congratulations again. Thank you very much. And now, before we adjourn, we'd like to take some time and answer the questions that have been raised so far. First question is one for you, Missy. The question is that while it appears that the COVID vaccine will eventually help small businesses return back to some sense of normalcy, are there ongoing plans through the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation to develop a strategic plan or framework for small businesses to adapt to crises that are similar to the pandemic? Many agencies like the CDC, Health and Human Services, et cetera, have expressed that our environment is at an increased risk of events similar to the COVID crisis.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think I have two parts to answer. One is at WEDC, one of the new muscles that we've really learned in the last few months is working with small businesses. And so what we've been able to develop, which surprisingly we didn't have, is a database of Wisconsin businesses and the ability to reach out to them. So for the 40,000 plus businesses that have received assistance, we can come back and have conversations with those businesses and find out what they need and help them develop the strategic plan that Wisconsin needs to have. So we can now have a much more fruitful conversation, I think, to really understand what are the needs of businesses. That's a big answer. On a much more tactical basis, we're looking and trying to understand at our team how we can help businesses develop an online presence. So one of the things that we've really seen is if you have a brick and mortar storefront on Main Street, it's a real struggle to keep going when you don't have people walking by and stopping in. And although our businesses have been really resilient and developed curbside pickup and things like that, I think developing that secondary storefront of an online presence will really help the businesses have additional resiliency. So that's a tactical idea that we have. How can we literally get resources into businesses' hands to help them develop websites and an online presence? Because it's more than just a website, right? You have to learn about shipping and you have to learn about, responding and things like that. But I think overall, as a state, we need to continue to think about our small businesses as a critical part of our overall economy, and how do we support them? So I appreciate that question.
Thanks, Missy. This is a really good question. Do you have support for sole proprietorships? Yeah, absolutely. The VCEDC works with, we work with literally anybody and everybody. As we mentioned, we're working with remote workers, with entrepreneurs and in expanding businesses. This past year, we worked with 16 different potential business startups and or businesses that would have potentially moved to Vilas County. Out of the 16, 5 actually did open new businesses in Vilas County, and all 5 of those have just 1 employee at this point. So we definitely offer our services to sole proprietorships. Got another one for you, Missy, is what is the state's views or the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation's views on the different needs of rural communities versus, larger metro areas, particularly during the pandemic?
Well, I think one of the things that, and I think I mentioned it, one of the things that we've really seen as far as the needs from the pandemic goes is this question of childcare. And in rural areas, especially, the challenges of childcare and the regulatory framework around childcare, the business model around childcare are really something that we need to focus on. And the Department of Children and Family Services has just completed a statewide analysis of childcare needs, and with federal funding is now able to go into the next step of accessing more federal funding to be able to start to develop some real solutions to those challenges. But I know in my area, larger childcare facilities that are available in urban areas don't really make sense. So how do we make smaller childcare facilities work both from a business model perspective, but also work for the workforce, work for the employers? And so I think, specifically, I would jump and say childcare is incredibly important. The other thing I would say is healthcare is a real challenge for our rural areas. The hospitals in our rural areas have really taken a huge revenue hit as they needed to stop elective surgeries, and understanding that elective means cancer surgeries, hip replacements, nothing that you would really think of as elective, but that's revenue for those hospitals. And so making sure that the hospitals can continue to operate strongly and really care for that public health aspect of the rural areas, so that we can continue to have healthy participants in our communities and our economies.
Good, thanks, Missy. We've got a couple questions that are kind of combined from the same participant, so I'll kind of paraphrase. The thoughts are around the fact that the mapping of broadband from the Public Services Commission sometimes isn't as accurate as we would like to see it. Sometimes counties and towns don't really know how to get started. They're kind of on their own in terms of how we improve our broadband. There's a variety of different internet service providers in the county, and also varying speeds from very, very slow to in very high speeds. And so the question is, how do we kind of fix all of this? And this is exactly why the VCEDC, went to the county early in the year and volunteered to lead this effort from a countywide perspective. The very first thing we did was we met with all of the townships as well as the Lac du Flambeau tribe. And coming out of those discussions, we developed a much more comprehensive map. It's available on our website. And we've got much more detailed data now than is available through PSC on kind of the status of broadband in the county. It's also why we've reached out to the townships and offered our support. And as was mentioned in the video by Joe Ritchie, as a result, we've got 5 different townships now, plus the tribe, that have created their own broadband committees or work groups. And we're working directly with those work groups to help them share information with each other, to get information from other towns so that they don't have to recreate the wheel in submitting grant requests, because they now can share, like the excellent work that Boulder Junction has done, and support that we can provide directly on helping them write grants and helping them get connected to the various different internet service providers to see what approach is going to work best for each township. We have, like I said, a wide variety of different internet service providers throughout Vilas County, and each of the communities is served by different ones. In some cases, 2 or 3 in the same community, and there are still gaps. So one size does not fit all in Vilas County. And that's why we're approaching this on a township by township basis, and why we're working very closely with the towns that have created their work groups. And we're working with the others too, in the hopes that we can get them to create new broadband work groups in the new year. And we're working toward significant work, achieving significantly more funding through grants in 2021. So that's kind of the reason that we're taking the approach we're taking. It's an excellent question. And the points you've raised are exactly why we're doing what we're doing. Question is, what are other rural-based county governments been doing directly to develop broadband coverage? By the way, I forgot to mention that when Bill Niemuth presented with Kathy and I to the county board earlier this year, one of the questions they asked is, well, what can we do? And in fact, we've developed a proposal that we're going to start socializing with the county board starting next week with recommendations as to how the county can support this effort. So more on that topic as we move forward. But Vilas County definitely wants to participate and help, and we're gonna work through that with them to see how we can do it together. And the question is, what other rural-based county governments been doing directly to develop broadband coverage? In some cases, and again, this is because maybe they had one or only two throughout the whole county. We've seen Oneida County partner with a fixed wireless provider to, over the last several years, put more towers throughout the county. Iron County has done a similar thing, again, because they had basically one internet provider for the whole county. So those have been, more straightforward as an example. Ours is a bit more complicated, but it also offers more opportunity and flexibility as well. And any other questions?
Jim, I believe we have a question from Senator Bewley.
Okay, Senator Bewley would like is there a way we can unmute that line, or?
Yeah, her question, sure, I'd like to take a stab at that question about future challenges, and I'll try to.
There's just a note that she had to jump off to get ready for an 11 o'clock meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it was a pleasure having her join us today.
It is. So finally, thank you for those questions. Those are right on. Missy, thanks for your help in answering. This really has been quite a year. We've said it many times. We all know it. We're all working through this together. We will get through this together. And the VCEDC is committed to continuing to help you and our Northwoods community navigate these challenging times and to thrive in the new year. Particularly, we're committed to continuing our day-to-day support for our area businesses and startups, both from a COVID perspective as well as helping with development of business plans, helping with what financing is available, the kinds of things that Lizeth commented in the video. We do that every day, and we help people get up to speed much more quickly. We make it easier for them to start a business and to be successful. We're committed to continuing to lead the expansion of broadband internet throughout Vilas County. It's critical to not only our tourism, but also, as Kathy mentioned, to broadening our economy. We're committed to expanding our targeted outreach to attract remote workers, entrepreneurs, and expanding businesses to Vilas County. And finally, we're committed to working to build and support a community of business leaders throughout the Northwoods. We see the value, huge value, in getting us all connected together, getting people to network together. As an example, there are a lot of remote workers right now in Vilas County. The challenge is they don't know each other. And it's difficult to find out who they are, but we're working on that. And we want to help connect them together. We want to help connect entrepreneurs together. And share experiences and just provide part of the answer to the social needs as well as business needs for our Northwoods community. We're seeing a lot of growing energy this past year in spite of the pandemic, and we see growing momentum in Vilas County as we broaden and expand our economy. We're committed to helping in every way possible to continuing this trend. I'd really like to thank everybody for participating this morning. Have a safe and wonderful holiday season. And from all of us at the VCEDC, we'd like to wish you all good health and continued success in the new year. Meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much.